This is an ultra rare Nintendo Game Boy being loaned to us from Restorish over on his channel. This Nintendo Game Boy is getting the respect it deserves after the full restoration it underwent. Today we will be taking this Game Boy apart, trimming the shell, soldering the speaker, putting it all back together to uncover this very beautiful IPS screen modded Game Boy. This project was really cool and I really liked making this video. Please watch until the end to see the entire process. Today we have a very special package that was sent over by Restorish, or from the headquarters of Tronics Fix LLC. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at what we got. Taking my knife here and let's cut the tape. If this is the first time you're watching my channel, I love to take old hardware and upgrade it or restore it to modern day specifics. I love to take old consoles and restore them to new working condition. So today we have this Nintendo Game Boy that is in perfectly fine condition, but Restorish wants an upgrade. So let's see what Game Boy he sent over. And would you look at that? It's a Blue Game Boy DMG. Many people watching this probably don't think this console is an actual release color because it's extremely rare. This color was only released in Europe. As you can see, he replaced the sticker there. As you look on the back, it says GS, which is a European logo, so that's pretty cool. I don't know much about it, but this is known as the Ice Blue variant and is extremely rare. Over here we have the IPS screen kit, so let's take a look at it. There it is. Would you look at that? There is the IPS screen kit. Comes in a nice little plastic container. You unclip it from the front. You got a flyer here from the company we purchased it from, High Speed IDO. There'll be a link to the IPS screen kit in the description. There's the screen itself. That's pretty cool. This is apparently a laminated screen, so that's really the best quality you're gonna get. Down here we have the rest of the parts besides the screen. We have like the PCB and then all the ribbon cables. This is the front PCB. It completely replaces the original screen panel. As you can see, there's a new sort of contrast wheel that's now multifunctional, so that's pretty cool. Set it off to the side. Here's everything else. We have the other ribbon cables. This is an adapter motherboard that converts the video signal into the new screen. That's always important. You won't function without that thing, so put that over there. That's the main ribbon cable used to connect both halves. And then this is some sort of screen adhesive to hold those parts down, I guess. Let's take a look at the screen LCD itself. It says to be careful with it and that if you install it, it will break. But I believe there's a way. Oh, well, I hate these paper stickers. So let's just get that open and take a look at it. Thought I could peel off the sticker, but no, there's no hope for that. You need to unfold it, and that comes out the long end, so you need to push it, and it will come out the bottom. Well, there it is. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Since this screen is actually physically larger than the original, it's going to fit right there, but as you can see, it's much larger, so it's going to require a bit of a trimming, which I'll get to in a minute. First off, let's just put this away and get to testing the console. Well, there it is. Let's just check if it's working, and let's put some batteries inside. After we're done with that, you just put the battery cover on and put some Tetris inside. And there you go. Now it should turn on, and there you go. It runs perfectly fine without any issues. So obviously this Game Boy has no problems. There's no dead lines on the screen, and the screen's completely usable. However, there's one issue here that is going to be solved later, but the membranes for the buttons are a little worn, so the buttons are a little unresponsive, and you have to kind of press them several times to work, although this is no problem that I can't solve with just a new set of membranes. Okay, now we are going to take this thing apart. In order to do that, we're going to need to flip it over and take off the battery cover. Then we're going to take the batteries out. I use 2 rechargeable and 2 non-rechargeable because that's all I have, so yeah. Alright, now to take it apart, we're going to need a Phillips or tri-wing screwdriver. Depends on what model you have. Usually it's tri-wing. You're just going to take and remove the 6 screws on the back. And then you're going to gently lift the front half. They are connected together by this ribbon cable in the center, so be careful, make sure to remove that. It's a little difficult sometimes, but there it comes right off. Now we have the back half here. I'm not going to do any further modification to this, as it needs nothing done to it, and it's perfectly fine. However, the front needs all of these Phillips screws removed to get the screen out, so let's do it. Now, in order to remove the screen, you're going to lift on the ribbon cable, the contrast wheel, just try and loosen up the adhesive bracket, and then there, the screen comes out. Now, I'm actually going to save this screen for a very special project, which is my next video, so please subscribe if you haven't. All I'm here for is to try and restore older consoles, and I love to take a good old system like this one that has been worn and has had a history of damage and wear, and take it and revert it to a new condition. For this Game Boy, it was discolored, worn, and it needed a good repair, so Restorish took it apart, cleaned it, and retrobrighted the shell, and now my job is to IPS screen mod it. So now let's remove the glass screen lens so I can free up that space. Now I'm gonna reuse this screen lens because that's a pretty useful one. It's glass after all. Now I'm going to actually need this adhesive bracket as well. This part's also going to be recycled for the other project. So yeah, nice to see some parts get recycled. So there it is, the Blue Game Boy DMG is taken all the way apart except for the motherboard right there. Now there it is, the front shell, the adapter board, and the membranes, the old ones, the front motherboard, and the laminated screen. So now we are going to need to talk about the trim here. Here's the screen. It's a laminated Q5 screen from a BlackBerry phone, I mean. This screen requires a trim of the shell to make it quite larger. This needs to be done by hand and can be a painful process and takes quite a long time, but if you have the right tools, it just takes a lot of time, but isn't too difficult, I'd say. So I have to perform it for a second time on this blue shell, and so let's do it. Now I'm going to need to use a very sharp X-Acto knife and cut along this sort of square outline around the outside. This is pretty hard to do, to be honest. Basically, you're going to need to etch a line. You can choose whatever side you want. I'm going to start on the bottom here. You're going to need to start and go very, very slow and just etch a line across and then repeat it until you're done. It'll take a very long amount of time. The entire trimming process took me 2 days to complete, and it was about 2 hours of footage, maybe even more, that I had to trim down into a small section. This by no means was an easy process. It was very painstaking, and I almost cut myself many times. So if you're going to attempt to do this, I very highly suggest wearing either cut gloves or using this on a cutting board. I don't know. This is a very hard thing to do, and I highly suggest just buying pre-trimmed unless you're going to mod a special edition like this one. So, yeah. So here is my hands without any gloves on. I'm applying some masking tape to try and prevent any cuts I'll accidentally do, or any sanding that I might accidentally go wrong. So I'm just making sure to try and protect it. You should also do this if you're going to try and do the same thing. Once you're done, you can sort of push out the plastic and it will just come out as one big piece, and then you kind of have to shave off some of the plastic, any large portions, kind of fix the corners, make them more square. Here I also used some sandpaper to try and flatten the edges and make it as uniform as possible. This is definitely highly suggested, but it's not exactly needed, although I do suggest you do that. On the only reputable guide I could find on a German website, you have to sand about here, which is underneath the screen, because the screen shoots down here, and if it isn't thin enough, it will damage the screen actually, so make sure you sand there a bit. No, you're not done trimming yet. You have to cut the contrast tab and then the other part. Also use sandpaper here, but be very careful as it is a glossy finish there. Now you have to get the part by the contrast, and with that, you're done. Next up, we have to clean the shell parts. Obviously, we're going to need a toothbrush and some soap. And now, here's my container of water. Here's the shell. Let's clean it up. Now, I know Restorish already cleaned the shell, however, the dust from the plastic on the screen had kind of made the shell dirty, in a sense, so I'm going to just go ahead and detail the shell one last time, and just get it all the way clean, without there being remains of this dust. Now I'm too excited, let's go ahead and just clean all the buttons. Now I show myself cleaning the membranes here, but I did end up replacing those, as I did say that they had gotten loose and just don't work properly anymore. I replaced all of them except for the start and select, where I tried to clean off the carbon membrane pads and make them more responsive again, and it worked, of course. Okay, now we're done with the water. And I'm gonna go rinse off these buttons and dry them off. Alright, so there's the shell, and I regret leaving it still wet. I'll talk about that more in a second. But now there's one more step we have to do. Regarding this front motherboard over here, there's no speaker soldered, so we actually have to solder it ourselves. So let's go ahead and do that. So there's my soldering iron. I've probably used this thing like 3 times. I have to use it more. So yeah, let's just use it in today's video for this special project. Gotta heat it up. It's getting up the heat. So here's the motherboard. You're gonna need to solder a speaker onto the portion down there under the A button. It's no difficult solder job, so this shouldn't be a problem at all. You gotta use flux though. Here's my flux I got. I don't know if this is the best kind. I just got it off of Amazon. Gotta put it onto the speaker holes there. Gotta make sure you give it a pretty generous amount. And get some solder. And let's check out the soldering. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so let's solder this wire. We're gonna take some solder, put it onto the end of the tip, and just, come on. Okay, there we go. It's on the left one. There we go. There we go. We got it. That's a very big blob, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Let's see. Solder in the first wire. There we go. I'm not very good at soldering, if that isn't obvious. Let's put the other one in there, and is that done? Okay, there we go. The speaker isn't cleanest either, but I think that's good enough. I'll probably remove some of that solder off camera and try and tidy up the job a little, maybe. Yeah. Alright, there we go. So there's the screen. Let's actually install it into the shell. So in order to do that, it just fits in. You push it down and you push it back like that. That's how it should fit. If it doesn't fit like that, it's not proper. There should be no difficulty of it fitting inside. There's an adhesive strip here. I'm just gonna peel off this sticker, and you're gonna slide it in just like that, and then oop, it's going in crooked. Oh, there we go. It's fine, no problem. Yeah, that installed pretty well. Alright, so let's just clean the screen off, give it a good polish. There we go. Wow, it's looking pretty good already. Alright, so let's put the buttons inside. We got the B button, the A button. Now, as you can see here, the shell is still wet, and now I regret that. I put this thing together with this little bit of moisture, which was a terrible idea, and just never do that. So, just anybody going into the comments right now trying to say that, I do regret it. So yeah, and I also put the membranes in here at the wrong time. I put new ones in after camera, but it still looks pretty nice. I didn't mess anything up. So here is the double-sided adhesive. We're gonna need to use a bit of, just gonna use 1/2 of it. Oh, it got stuck in my glove. Well, let's just put it down there. Oh, that's not good. Get off of my finger. Okay, so let's just remove that. We'll take the adapter ribbon board thing. I need to figure out what that is. Take that, rip that in half, and put that there to cover up that adhesive part that I didn't need. Connect the ribbon cable, lift up the board a little bit. And then we're gonna need to just take it off all the way and then plug in the cable. Boom. There we go. Just lower it down. Stick it down one last time. That looks pretty good. Nothing went wrong there. So now let's take the front motherboard with its freshly soldered speaker and way too much flux left on the motherboard that I forgot to clean off. Just position the speaker like that. Twist it a bit. Push it down. Lift it up a bit. And you're going to put that ribbon cable into the latch there. And you're just going to push the flap down. No, wait. There we go. And with that, you can push the motherboard back down. Pretty good. So the front half is done for now. Let's just take it, flip it over again, and then take the screws and let's install them. Now there's a bit less screws that are going to actually be used. Ignore that screw just disappeared into the void somewhere. We're just gonna screw those in and install them. Now there is less screws being used. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 being used instead of like 10 or something on the original. So it's definitely better because it just makes it simpler to take apart. Alright, now we're done with the front half. Let's take the back half. The middle ribbon cable, we're just going to plug that in right here. You kind of have to hold it in place. It's kind of up. It's not like you can't just slide it in like the original. It's kind of like a millimeter up off the motherboard, so it's a little difficult to fit that, but it's not too hard. You're just going to try and bend the cable like that. And then you're going to connect the two halves. And you're going to take the ribbon cable and just put it into the connector. Once it's connected, you're going to just sort of sandwich the two halves together. Feel free to kind of just push it together and hold it in place, as the ribbon cable does kind of need to be forced where it's going. You're going to flip it over gently and just screw in the screws on the back half. These screws have become a little tarnished and a little rusted, so take some IPA on a toothbrush if this happens to you, and just scrub off the end. It actually removes the rust and just makes it a bit cleaner generally, and I always do this on builds like this to keep them clean. However, one of the screws was too rusted, so I'm actually gonna give Restorish one of my donors here. So let's just see if I can find that. That one's looking pretty good. No, it's a Phillips. We need a tri-wing. Let's flip it over. And there it is. I found it. Yep, that's the exact screw I need. So we can just put that in after a bit of scrubbing. Just put in all the 6 screws in their respectful areas. And once you're done with that, the build will be complete. And with the last screw, I call it done. So there it is, the ultra rare ice blue Game Boy DMG with a Q5 laminated IPS screen mod. This was a very nice build and I really enjoyed building it. And I really liked modding this one because it's just so insanely rare to find one of these over in the US. Apparently these are exclusive to the European region, and before Restorish did his video on this, I never knew this blue one existed. And there's only like 2 for sale on eBay, one of which was $300 and the other was $700. These are definitely a rare piece to see because they are so rare since they are exclusive to a European region. They cost a lot of money to import, so this is definitely a nice piece to see. And as you can see here, I'm playing Tetris with the original membranes, as I did not record my part of the video with the membranes being replaced, so they are a little bit unresponsive here. This screen is very beautiful. Just look at that, it's so crisp. It just looks really nice, definitely compared to the original screen. It's an upgrade, and that is for sure. But personally, I will always prefer the Analog Pocket over an IPS modded Game Boy, as the screen is 10 times the resolution, and it's just superior. Except for the OLED mod and the Game Boy Color. Anyways, this Game Boy IPS screen mod kit has one thing the Analog Pocket doesn't quite have, and is a rotating filter of different colors you can choose. Honestly, that's really cool. It just mesmerizes me so much how it works. So yeah, this Game Boy is awesome. Now let's see it run a different game. Now this is my copy of Pokemon Yellow. Now this is one thing I had been thinking of for probably a week before I could get this thing on my hands, as I wanted to try it out so badly, because I've never actually modded a Game Boy DMG before. Is this Pokemon Yellow on Yellow? That is just so cool to play Pokemon Yellow in the color yellow. and it honestly looks as if it's official because the color just matches so well. So yeah, that was definitely a nice build. I really enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you actually made it until the end, please join the Discord server and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That would be very nice to see you guys around on the Discord server. I might even accept some IPS screen mod requests just like this one. This was a really nice build and I really enjoyed making this video. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it as well. Please leave a like down below and leave a comment if you want. Next up is Restorish's part of the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. This was officially from his channel at his studio. This is what he had to say after he unboxed it. Anyways, see you guys next time.
Hey, this is Robert from Restorish. I am super excited today because something arrived in the mail finally. A little while ago, we sent a Blue Game Boy that I had previously restored on the Restorish channel to a friend of ours in the Discord named Squirks, who runs his own YouTube channel, as you obviously know because you're watching one of his videos. Steve opened this up, but I am taking my first look at it here, so I'm going to switch the camera around and let you at least hear my reaction while we take a look at this together. All right, here we go. I think everything is just kind of sitting on top. Ah, here it is. So I remember doing the retrobrighted treatment on this, obviously getting it from a green back to this nice blue, and it still looks amazing, but I can tell now we have this new screen cover on here, and I'm just excited to start this up, so let's do it. And here is my tester game. Oh, nice. Look at that. So Squirks did tell me that there, where this contrast button here on the side is, that there's some menuing things that we can do with it. He also replaced the speaker inside of it with one that was working better, replaced the membranes that are underneath all these buttons, but kept the start and select membranes here because they are a unique color. And he probably already mentioned all this in the video. So here we have some brightness control by turning this, but we also can tap it to give us some different color options. That's incredible. Nice. All right, well, I think I'm just gonna go with that pure black and white. I like it. Nice. Everything feels perfectly responsive. Exactly how I want it to be. Now I need to get to the business of refinding all of those favorite games of mine from my childhood so that I can get a collection again and be able to play them like this. That's amazing.